Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We're delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Ella McGaw, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you're a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about us and to receive our weekly email newsletter. Also, if you'd like to be greeted as a newcomer after the service, please take a red mug and members will seek you out and make sure you are warmly welcomed. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd like to hear from you and extend a welcome to you as well. For all those who are here in person, a gentle reminder. Please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so that we can enjoy this service uninterrupted by buzzing or ringing. Sunnyhill's service auction will take place April 15th. We'll now have an announcement regarding this year's auction.
Announcement about this year's auction. Okay, how many read the beat this week? No liars, please raise your hand. That is really kind of a poor showing. Just saying. I don't know about you, but my life is so dull. I really look forward to the beat. But there really is some awesome things in the beat. And besides the auction, which if you didn't read the beat, you've missed, so you may have missed something awesome already this week. So I suggest after service, you turn your phone back on and read the beat. But, okay, no more procrastination. It is now the time to sign up for the auction in advance. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have your big auction thing that you're donating ready today, although that would be awful swell as well. But you can sign up and let us know you're coming so we know how many heads, and you get a deal on your tickets. If you sign up the month of March, it is only $20 per adult. And that includes a most wonderful dinner and a couple adult beverages for those of you who like adult beverages, and plenty of non-adult beverages as well. So sign up in March, get a deal. We'll know how many folks are coming. If you wait till April, it's $30. And if you wait till the day of, it's $40. Except kids are free. But you can't pretend you're a child on April 15th if you look like you're over 18. So sign up now, help us out so we know how many are coming, and always read the beat. Thank you.
Today's service is titled The Book of Esther. The Jewish holiday of Purim is centered around the Book of Esther. How does this story of heroism in the face of vulnerability relate to our own time? What can we learn about Esther that might help us face our own personal and collective challenges? Our opening words were written by Sharon Wiley. For millennia, people have gathered together to hear stories, to root for the underdog, to jeer the evil and the unkind. We see, in our stories, mirrors to our own lives, where we hope good things will happen to good people and that evil will be vanquished. This morning, we gather for story, for cheering and jeering, for hope and for justice. May this ancient story shed new light on our own lives, and may we know ourselves to be connected to millions of those who have come before us and millions of those who will come after. Let us worship together. Please join me in saying the words to light our chalice. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation.
Good morning. Please rise and body your spirit to join in singing our opening hymn. Come sing a song with me, literally. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine, and I
share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Thank you. Please be seated.
We have some new members joining us today. Bethany Thornton will lead us in that ceremony. If our new members would come forward.
All right, I invite you all to come forward if you're joining this morning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bethany Thornton, the Director of Membership here at Sunnyhill, and we have a great crew this morning. Okay, come on up here. That's perfect, sorry. Come up here. All right, so I'm just going to take a moment to introduce everybody. And when I say your name, how about if you raise your hand so people can see who you are? First, we have Beth and Jonathan Bliss. They live in Imperial, where they are raising their two amazing sons, Kai, who is 7. Where is he? Oh, he's over there. Okay, and Atticus, who's 4. They also have an English bulldog named Lincoln. Jonathan also has a 20-year-old son named Andrew, and he and his wife Jenny just welcomed a new baby named Atlas. Jonathan and Beth met at IUP, where they received their doctoral degrees. Yes, IUP. Beth is a forensic psychologist who enjoys being outside in sunshine, traveling, spending time with her family of origin, drinking coffee, and being active with her energetic boys. While a criminologist by trade, Jonathan works within the financial services industry as a fraud, risk, and control advisor. He is a very involved father, leading Kai's Cub Scout den and going on many adventures with his boys. Beth introduced Jonathan to Unitarian Universalism over 12 years ago, and they were married in 2012 by Reverend Joan Sabatino in Indiana, PA. Beth chose Sunnyhill because she wanted to expose her children to individuals with values that align with her own. As a combat veteran, Jonathan spent years being anti-religion despite feeling a deep spiritualism. Following his time in the military, he quickly found UU principles aligned with his beliefs and experiences and is excited to find Sunnyhill to continue their spiritual journey. All right, next we have Fran McDowell. Fran has been married to her husband Mike for, she says, a very long time. They have a son and daughter, as well as 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. They made their way to Pittsburgh nearly 42 years ago. They moved initially to Mount Lebanon, but when their daughter reached school age, they opted for country life in Washington County, much to the puzzlement of their Mount Lebanon friends. They now live in a townhouse within walking distance of lovely Sunnyhill. Fran's passions include adventure, however it presents itself, travel, both towing their Airstream trailer and internationally, creativity of any sort, and riding her bike and walking. Fran is thrilled to be a part of this welcoming, interesting, and questioning congregation of people offering a new and enlightening aspect at this point in her life. She thanks the founders of Sunnyhill for pursuing their goal to such a successful realization, and to Jim and the staff for what seems to her stellar work. Next, we have Vicki Chan and Michael Hawk over there, and they have one very smart and curious 6-year-old Jedi Knight named Maya. They live in Mount Lebanon, within walking distance of Sunnyhill. Vicki has worked in technology throughout most of her career and is currently at the Boston Consulting Group. She has chosen Sunnyhill because it already feels like home. The social justice initiatives, the spiritually fulfilling sermons, the inspiring conversations, and most of all, the sense of fun and community she has already experienced in her short time here. She looks forward to meeting you and building community together. Michael originally hails from Illinois. He is finishing up his master's degree in software engineering and data science after a stint teaching middle school and working at a health insurance software company. He loves movies that make him think, listening to all types of music, hiking, and imagining he will someday read all the books on his bookshelf. He has chosen Sunnyhill to grow spiritually and build friendship and connections in the years to come. And Maya is in kindergarten at Foster Elementary, and she's a big Star Wars fan. She wants you to know her favorite characters are Ahsoka Tano and Asajj Ventress. Maya also loves dance parties, storytelling, and jumping on her trampoline. She has chosen Sunnyhill for the after-service donuts and mystery friends. All right, and last we have Anita and Bruce Hall. Anita learned, after reviewing the Sunnyhill website, binge-watching all the available services in the archives, and attending Sunday services, that she actually has been a UU for a very long time and just didn't know it. She retired from a long and beloved career in nursing and was promoted to grandma, best job ever. Anita is a pet lover, and they have a 10-month-old Labradoodle. She is happy to have found a church community where she feels like her authentic self and hopes to become an active member, learning and exploring ways to make the world a better place for future generations. Bruce moved with Anita to Whitehall from Syracuse, New York, 18 months ago to be near their daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter, and soon-to-be grandson. He is a retired volunteer fireman, EMT paramedic, respiratory therapist, and sleep center director. Bruce and Anita have been looking for a church family with values like their own since moving to Pittsburgh. Their daughter suggested Sunnyhill after she attended a Moms Against Gun Violence meeting here, and they look forward to being a part of and growing with this congregation.
All right, and we're not done yet. Today, we welcome into our congregation these new members who have chosen to become a part of this church. We are so glad to have you here with us and delighted that you've chosen to share this part of your journey with us. Will you accept our gifts of fellowship, mutual support, and service? Will you offer us your unique presence and gifts? And will you work with us as we seek to create a community and a world dedicated to compassion and justice? If so, please say, we will. Congregation, will you welcome these new members with the warmth and comfort of your fellowship? Will you seek to add your strengths and talents to the new gifts they bring to us? And will you share our triumphs and our struggles as our community grows and changes? If so, please say, we will. Let us say together these words which reflect our common purpose and common love in the midst of our diversity of beliefs. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Once again, please join me in welcoming our new members.
Good morning, friends. If there are any kiddos present that want to come up, we're going to walk straight through here, and we're going to use our walking feet to come on up here. Good morning, friends. There's lots of space over here, too. Could come over here. There we go. I think we need a bigger stage. All right, good morning, friends. All right. Once upon a time, there lived a man called Mordecai. He was a very good man and always tried to help people and do the right thing. Mordecai lived with his niece Esther, or Esther, and they were Jewish. In the same town, there was a king called Ahasuerus. He lived in a big palace and had lots of money, but he was a bit lonely. He needed a partner, so he searched far and wide for a new queen to come and live with him in his palace. He looked everywhere, and eventually he decided that the one person he liked most of all was Esther, who was not only pretty, but she was kind and smart. So Esther said goodbye to her uncle Mordecai and went to live in the palace with the king and became his queen. But she didn't tell him that he was Jewish, that she was Jewish. Now there was a man who worked in the palace who wasn't very nice. He was kind of a bully. His name was Haman. He expected everyone to do exactly what he said and to bow down to him when they saw him. And he got really angry if someone didn't do exactly what he wanted. One day, Haman met Mordecai, and Mordecai did not bow down to him. Haman became very angry, and he went to the king and said, "There are some people around here who do things differently from other people, and I think you should make them go away." Sounds like a bully thing to say. The king didn't really know what Haman was talking about, but he said, "Okay, do what you want. Tell those people to go away, the ones who do things differently." What Haman really wanted was to get rid of Mordecai and Esther and all their Jewish friends. The Jewish people were very sad because they liked living in the kingdom and they didn't want to go away. But what could they do? Mordecai sent a message to Esther at the palace, and the message said, "Esther, we need your help. That bully Haman wants to get rid of us all. Please talk to the king and ask him to stop Haman." Queen Esther thought, "I must be very brave," and she made a special dinner for the king and all of his favorite foods. Then she invited the king and Haman to come and have dinner with her. The king thought the dinner was delicious, and he was so happy that after he finished eating, he said to Queen Esther, "What can I do for you to say thank you?" Queen Esther said, "Oh, please, I need you to help me and my uncle Mordecai and all of our friends, because someone wants us to go away." "That's terrible," said the king, because he really liked Esther and he didn't want her to go away. "Who wants to get rid of you and your family and your friends?" Esther pointed at Haman and said, "It's him. Haman wants to get rid of us." "Oh no," said the king, and he was very angry indeed. He called his guards and said, "Take away Haman and get rid of him instead." Then the king asked Mordecai to come and work at the palace and do Haman's job. But of course, Mordecai was much nicer than Haman. Nobody had to go and live anywhere else if they didn't want to. So after that, everyone lived happily in the kingdom. Mordecai did a really good job working for the king, and Queen Esther made delicious biscuits called Hamantaschen. So that's the end of our story, but there are some lessons that I want you to take away from it. Number one, people should not be treated badly just because they have different beliefs or traditions. As Unitarian Universalists, we value and welcome many different beliefs and traditions, and we try to learn from them. It's sometimes necessary to have courage to use your own position, like Esther did, to help others, even though it might be risky to do so. We might not all be queens or royalty and have privilege or influence as much as Esther, but we all have some privilege or influence that we can use. And finally, it's important to celebrate and remember heroes like Esther, who can inspire us all to be better people. The end. That's a good question. So the question was, is that a true story? We don't know. It happened many, many years ago, probably thousands of years ago. So it's hard to say. Not billions. Yeah, it is like a folktale. So we really don't know for sure what happened, but there might be some truth to it as well. All right, and with that, we will go to our RE classes. Let's sing the children out.
Go in peace. Know our love is with you always as you go, as you go, as you go. May joy surround you as you go. Go in peace. Know our Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will be brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Things will be brighter. Someday, yeah, we'll walk in the rays of a beautiful sun. Someday, when your head is much lighter. Someday, yeah, we'll get it together and we'll get it undone. Someday, when the world is much brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Things will be brighter. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Things will be brighter. Someday, yeah, we'll get it together and we'll get it undone. Someday, when the world is much brighter, brighter, brighter. Someday, yeah, we'll walk in the rays of a beautiful sun. Someday, when your head is much lighter, like right now, right now. You just wait and see how things are gonna be. You just wait and see how things are gonna be. You just wait and see how things are gonna be. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Things will be brighter.
This is the time in our service when we share joys and sorrows that have been submitted by members of the congregation. After each joy or sorrow that I share, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." A joy from Miriam Chang. Miriam says, "Congratulations to all the Sunnyhill kids who participate in Odyssey of the Mind and wonderful creative solutions to their 2023 problems. All of our kids worked very hard and showed their creative problem-solving stripes yesterday. Good work." To Miriam and our Odyssey of the Mind kids, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow from Diana McLaughlin. Diana says, "My father, Sam McLaughlin, passed away on Tuesday, February 28th in the Donnell Hospice House in Washington from complications of a broken hip and dementia. He was 89 years old and lived a joyful and purpose-filled life. My dad remained a pleasant and cheerful person even as dementia affected his memory. He will be missed by his loving family. To Diana and her family, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow from Kristen Estelle. Kristen says that while almost everyone knows about the train wreck in East Palestine, Ohio, few people know that much of the waste from the wreck is being sent to an incinerator 16 miles south in East Liverpool, Ohio, Kristen's husband's hometown. They both have family members near the toxic waste incinerator, which burns 365 days a year. Kristen asks that we bear in mind her family members and others who are affected by toxic waste, not just now, but all the time. To Kristen and her family, we hold you in our hearts. As we sing our meditation hymn, we invite anyone who is moved to do so to come forward and light a candle, place it in the sand, and then return to your seat. And we are going to do a little teaching of this hymn in just a moment. Okay, short introduction first.
So the song that we're going to be singing is a protest song that comes from South Africa during apartheid. And it's a little call and response and then a little sing together. So we'll start out with echoing courage and my friend, and then we sing the next line together, and that form kind of repeats. So please be my echo. Courage,
Courage,
my
friend, together
we do not
walk alone.
We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Nice. So we'll keep singing that. I might change the words a little bit. Just follow along. And again, as we're singing, please feel free to come up and light a candle. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Justice, my friend, you do not walk alone.
friend, you do not walk alone.
We will
walk with you and sing your spirit home.
Thank you.
I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Let us pause in stillness and some semblance of silence as we slow ourselves for these few moments. Slow our minds that we might better understand. Slow our hearts that we might feel more fully. Slow our senses that we might become aware of those things that sometimes escape our anemic attention spans. Let us pause now for a moment of silence as we consider this moment simply as it is. As we slow ourselves, we become more aware that true action springs from stillness rather than frenetic motion. That real strength arises from curiosity rather than certainty. That abiding courage is born of questions, not answers. May we act from a place of stillness. May we draw strength from our curiosity. May we have the courage to hold questions and take action, even when there are no clear answers. Amen. The Jewish holiday of Purim, as we've heard, centers around the telling of the story from the book of Esther, which we shared in a rather abridged form with our children earlier in the service. Traditionally, Purim is a festive occasion with costumes, a great deal of cheering and jeering, and as is the case with almost all Jewish holidays, lots of food, including in this case triangle-shaped cookies known as Hamantaschen, meaning Haman's pockets. The actual story is more complex and considerably darker than what we shared with the children. Purim celebrates the survival of a group of Jews in the 5th century BCE after they had been marked for death by their Persian rulers. The story is set in the court of King Ahasuerus, who is portrayed as a vainglorious ruler, obsessed with appearances and lavish entertainments. Ahasuerus is also known variously as Ahasuerus or Xerxes, depending on which biblical translation or retelling that you happen to read. The story opens with a week-long drunken royal party for all of the men of the kingdom, during which Ahasuerus proposes a beauty pageant of sorts with all of the women of the kingdom participating, including his wife, Queen Vashti. Vashti refuses to participate and is sent into exile, and Ahasuerus takes as his wife Esther, one of the forced beauty pageant participants, who, unbeknownst to the king, is Jewish. In the meantime, Haman, a chief advisor to King Ahasuerus, is angry that Mordecai, Esther's uncle, holds Haman in disdain and refuses to bow to him or pay obeisance in any form. Haman manages to convince the king, by appealing to his inflated self-image and underlying insecurities, that the Jews are a threat to the king's power and that all the Jewish men in the kingdom must be killed. With the king's permission, Haman sets a date for the execution of the Jews, starting first with Mordecai, by casting lots. The Hebrew word for lots is Purim, which is how the holiday came to have its name. When news of the planned genocide reaches Esther, now the wife of the king, she risks her life by going uninvited to another of Ahasuerus' parties and convinces him, again by appealing to his vanity and insecurity, that it is Haman who is the real risk to the king's power and that Haman must be eliminated. After a fair bit of jostling and a few more plot twists, Haman is executed, Mordecai takes his place, and at least for the time being, the Jews are saved. It is a disturbing tale with a disquieting and uncomfortable conclusion. As described by Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, if a prime minister who just yesterday enjoyed the full confidence and trust of the king was suddenly convicted and executed, then who is wise and clairvoyant enough to assure us that the same unreasonable, absurd, neurotic change of mood and mind will not repeat itself? The Purim tale reminds us that a government and the society it oversees can turn against its most vulnerable in a matter of moments. That is why, Soloveitchik argued, Esther's story is no triumphal tale. On the contrary, it is the story of the vulnerability of humankind in general, and specifically of the vulnerability of the Jew. And as we've seen in recent years, unwise and capricious rulers who might otherwise seem comically buffoonish can and do inflict a great deal of pain and make life dangerously unsafe for those among us who are most vulnerable and at risk. But the book of Esther suggests several responses to such circumstances from which we might learn and find a way forward in our own time. First of all, through the relatively minor character of Queen Vashti, we learn the power of non-compliance. As described by poet and musician Alicia Jo Rabins, when the king asks Queen Vashti to appear and display her beauty in a demeaning and ridiculous pageant, she faces a fundamental question: should I do what is asked of me by others, even if it is degrading and insulting? The term sexual harassment is relatively new, but as we see from this story, it's almost incredible how ancient and pervasive the act is. From her vantage point as queen of the Persian Empire, Our heroine Vashti sees this abuse of power for what it is and chooses to abdicate the throne rather than acquiesce. Courageously, Vashti gives up her wealth and power in exchange for an unknown and uncertain future. So one way of facing unjust systems and unjust or inappropriate demands is to refuse to comply. It is only when a critical number of people refuse to comply with unjust systems that pressure can be brought to bear and things start to change. Another lesson of the story, of course, has to do with Esther herself. It's important to understand that the book of Esther is different from all of the other books in the Hebrew Bible in that there is no mention of God or the divine. As described by Meyer Soloveichik, the grandnephew of the rabbi I quoted a moment ago, whereas in every other scriptural tale of political engagements, they are under prophetic instruction. In the Persian court, God gives no guidance to the Jews facing a terrible danger. Esther faced an unprecedented question. How can the Jews triumph over their adversaries and enemies if God has stopped speaking to them? If the cryptic messages they receive remain unintelligible and incomprehensible? In this sense, Esther is the first biblical figure, male or female, to engage in statesmanship. Previous heroes, Moses and Elijah, Samuel and Deborah, are prophets who are guided and guarded by the divine. But Esther operates on instinct, reflecting a mastery of realpolitik. In other words, Esther, who is herself in a vulnerable position without any divine guidance, finds a way to use the privilege and influence that she does have in order to save her people. And she does so by risking her own privilege and influence, by participating in an action that has no guarantees of working. In her seminal work, A Feminist Ethic of Risk, Sharon Welch wrote, "We are well aware of the costs of systems of injustice, but find it impossible to act against them because no definitive solutions are in sight." Welch, a social ethicist and one of my instructors and my advisor at Meadville Lombard Theological School, argues for moving from an ethic of control in which we think we can control all the outcomes to an ethic of risk. Esther is an exemplar for all of us, showing how to make this move from control to risk, thus becoming a co-creator of her own destiny and that of those who are most vulnerable. The Purim story and the heroic actions of Esther remind us just how fragile the rights and security of particularly vulnerable groups and individuals can be. This reality isn't just a part of ancient history, it's a fact of our current circumstances as well. Take, for example, just one such group, LGBTQ people in the US. The American Civil Liberties Union is currently tracking 351 anti-LGBTQ pieces of legislation that are making their way through state houses across the nation at this time. Some of the most scurrilous of these bills seek to deny gender-affirming care to transgender people, and 5 such bills are being voted on in state capitals just in the coming week or two. In our own community, we have seen how quickly transgender rights can come under attack in our school system and in other circumstances where a vocal minority tries to score political points by attacking human rights and putting transgender people, their family members, and those who advocate for them in harm's way. In these circumstances, it is up to all of us, but especially those of us who enjoy a great deal of privilege, to refuse to comply with unjust laws, practices, and policies, and to risk our own positions of power in order to challenge and change unjust systems. Non-compliance and risk-taking are absolutely necessary if we truly want to transform our community, our country, and our world. Another lesson from Purim that I would like to emphasize has to do with the experience of joy in the face of immense and even existential threats and challenges. As I mentioned, Purim is celebrated with noisemakers and costumes and this sort of lighthearted, carnival-like atmosphere that may seem strange considering just how dark the events of the story are. It is, after all, the story of how this group of Jews living in exile came close to being slaughtered. It is a story of corruption and oppression, misogyny and anti-Semitism. So why is there all of this joy associated with Purim? The joy, first of all, comes from the fact of having survived, of having been in dire circumstances and getting through them, thanks to the courageous, risk-taking actions of Esther, Vashti, and others in the story. Secondly, joy is one of the aspects of being human that binds us together more tightly than almost anything else. The experience of joy in religious community, or really in any meaningful human community, is part of why we are here. And experiencing joy in any circumstance brings us closer to one another. And finally, joy is absolutely essential to the work of justice. As my colleague, Reverend Ashley Horan, Director of Organizing Strategy for the UUA, has said, "We will succeed by choosing joy over cynicism, resilience over fragility, generosity over pettiness, gratitude over scarcity." She says, "Let's dance in our bathrobes and make food for our beloveds and sing off key and squeeze our babies as a daily act of resistance. Let us not allow others to steal our joy or our spirit." In my own experience and observation, without joy, there is little or no chance of restoring justice. At a pivotal point in the Purim story, when it seems that all is lost, Esther appears reluctant to risk the tenuous power and privilege that she has. But Mordecai comes to her to remind her that in the end, her privilege may not be enough to protect even her. Salvation might come from elsewhere, though who knows where. But Mordecai concludes, "Who's to say whether you've come to this place and position for such a time as this?" The book of Esther provides us with a great deal of material for reflection as well as a guide for action in our own time. And it's just possible, isn't it, that we have come to this place and this position for just such a time as this. A time that calls out for risk takers, for joy-filled, justice-seeking people who will do what needs to be done in order that all might be liberated. I hope and pray that even in the darkest and most challenging of times, perhaps especially in such times, each of us might learn from the example of Vashti and Esther and others who have embraced an ethic of risk and acted courageously for the greater good. May it be so. Amen.
Rise again and body your spirit to sing, I Know I Can.
It's time for our morning offering. We don't have a designated offering this morning, so our collection will benefit Sunnyhill and help defray our operating expenses. If you'd like to make a gift via our online system, you may do so by going to sunnyhill.org, clicking on online giving, or you can give by text at 412-324-3130. For those of you who are here with us in person, we'll now be passing our offering baskets, and thank you everyone for your generosity. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. A couple of brief announcements before we go. Our current events discussion group is going to meet today downstairs in the youth group room. If you're anyone who's interested in participating in that group is welcome to attend. Also, for anyone who is a relative newcomer or visitor, I know we have a lot of visitors and newcomers today, in the Red Oak room, which is across the hall on that end, Bethany and I will be having a Sunnyhill 101 class at 11:30. This is just a 40 or 45 minute kind of question and answer session. If you're new here and you're wondering what the heck is Unitarian Universalism and what is this congregation all about, we'd welcome the chance to talk with you then. For now, we'll close with these words. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery. Go in peace.